Hi there, tribe. It is your mom of 3 in NYC, and I am back with another video. To everyone new, first time clicking on one of my videos, it's awesome to have you. My name is Taneza. I'm the mother of 3 funny. My kids make me laugh every day. Funny kids living in the heart of New York City. I would love for you to join my YouTube family, my tribe. All you have to do is hit the button that says subscribe. And I have a little group of tribe members who are extra special to me. My Bible scholars, because we're studying the Bible, so we're Bible scholars. And we are on an adventure to read through the Bible this year. Super exciting. Would love to have you join us. And let's just jump into today's review. This video is going to be a review of 1 Kings chapters 10 and 11. I will be reading from the NIV translation. Whichever translation of the Bible you have is perfect, stick with it. And you don't even need a Bible because I will put every verse that I read on the screen for you. All right, let's get started. Chapter 10 is about the Queen of Sheba. Alrighty, so I have in my notes that the Queen of Sheba heard about how wise Solomon was. So she came to Jerusalem and questioned King Solomon with very difficult questions. King Solomon answered every single question. I wanted to read for you verses 4 and 5 of chapter 10. When the Queen of Sheba saw all the wisdom of Solomon and the palace he had built, the food on his table, the seating of his officials, the attending servants in their robes, his cupbearers, and the burnt offering he made at the temple of the Lord, she was overwhelmed. The Queen of Sheba confesses to King Solomon that she had doubted what she had heard about his achievements and his wisdom. Verse 7. I did not believe these things until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half was told me. In wisdom and wealth, you have far exceeded the report that I heard. Amazing. Though, when God gives gifts, they can blow our minds. And so that's what Solomon's wisdom. I mean, the fact that his wisdom created stories for people then to come and check it on their own is pretty amazing. Again, you have to understand it was a gift from God. The Queen of Sheba then praised the Lord because the Lord was showing his love for Israel by making Solomon their king. The Queen of Sheba gave King Solomon in verse 10. She gave the king 120 talents of gold, and that is equivalent to 4.5 tons. Sorry, I get passionate. Queen of Sheba gave King Solomon 4.5 tons of gold, large quantities of spices and precious stones. Never again were so many spices brought in as those the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. King Solomon in turn gave the Queen of Sheba all that she asked for. She returned to her own country. Every year, King Solomon received 666 talents of gold, 25 tons. I wanted to read for you guys verses 18, 19, 20, and 21. Oh, this is all about, so chapter 10 is in 2 parts. The first part, the Queen of Sheba visits Solomon. The second part details Solomon's splendor. Solomon's splendor, yes. Verse 18, the king made a great throne inlaid with ivory and overlaid with fine gold. The throne had 6 steps, and its back had a rounded top. On both sides of the seat were armrests, with a lion standing beside each of them. 12 lions stood on the 6 steps, one at either end of each step. Nothing like it had ever been made for any other kingdom. All King Solomon's goblets were gold. All the household articles in the palace of the forest of Lebanon were pure gold. Nothing was made of silver, because silver was considered of little value in Solomon's days. King Solomon had more wisdom, more riches than all other kings. Verse 24 says, the whole world sought audience with Solomon to hear the wisdom God had put in his heart. Everyone who visited King Solomon brought gifts. King Solomon had 1,400 chariots. He had 12,000 horses imported from Egypt and Kew. Silver was as common as stones. Woo! Amazing, amazing, amazing. Chapter 11. This details Solomon's wives, his adversaries. It discusses Jeroboam and also Solomon's passing. So King Solomon, I want to read verses 1 and 2 of chapter 11. King Solomon, however, loved many foreign women besides Pharaoh's daughter: Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites. They were from nations about which the Lord had told the Israelites, you must not intermarry with them, because they will surely turn your hearts after their gods. Nevertheless, Solomon held fast to them in love. And I think that this begins to show the humanity of King Solomon. Even though he was the richest and the most wise, he was also human. King Solomon had 700 wives of royal birth, 300 concubines. I was trying to think, like, how do you spend time with all of them? 1,000 women? Literally a different woman every day for 3 years. That's what that is. As King Solomon grew old, I wanted to read for you verse 4. His wives turned his heart, just like God said. As Solomon grew old, his wives turned his heart after other gods. His heart was not fully devoted to the Lord his God, as the heart of David, his father, had been. He followed, King Solomon, Ashtoreth, goddess of the Sidonians, Molech, god of the Ammonites, and Chemosh, god of the Moabites. Verse 6. So Solomon did evil in the eyes of the Lord by serving these lowercase g gods. He did not follow the Lord completely as David his father had done. King Solomon went so far as to build high places for these gods, lowercase g. His wives burned incense and offered sacrifices to their lowercase g gods. The Lord became angry at Solomon. He had appeared to Solomon twice. Remember, the Lord had forbidden Solomon to follow other gods, yet Solomon was not obedient. This is 11, 12, and 13. The Lord said to Solomon, since this is your attitude, you have not kept my covenant and my decrees, which I commanded you, I will most certainly tear the kingdom away from you and give it to one of your subordinates. Nevertheless, for the sake of David your father, I will not do it during your lifetime. I will tear it out of the hand of your son. Yet I will not tear the whole kingdom from him, but will give him one tribe for the sake of David my servant, and for the sake of Jerusalem, which I have chosen. The Lord raised up adversaries against King Solomon. Hadad the Edomite, Rezon son of Eliada, Jeroboam son of Nebat. Jeroboam was an official of King Solomon's. He was put in charge of the labor force. I wanted to read for you guys verses 30, 31, and 32. Ahijah was a prophet. Ahijah, starting with verse 30, okay. Ahijah took hold of the new cloak. I'm going to back up to verse 29. At that time, Jeroboam was going out of Jerusalem. Ahijah the prophet of Shiloh met him on the way, wearing a new cloak. The two of them were alone out in the country. And Ahijah took hold of the new cloak he was wearing, tore it into 12 pieces. He said to Jeroboam, "Take 10 pieces for yourself, for this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. See, I am going to tear the kingdom out of Solomon's hand and give you 10 tribes. But for the sake of my servant David and the city of Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, he will have 1 tribe. All because they have forsaken God, uppercase G, to worship gods, lowercase g. Yet God is still faithful. God still keeps his promises." Verse 34, "I will not take the whole kingdom out of Solomon's hand. I have made him ruler all the days of his life for the sake of David my servant, whom I chose, who observe my commands and statutes." The Lord tells Jeroboam, verse 38, "If you do whatever I command you, you walk in my ways and do what is right in my eyes by keeping my statutes and commands, as David my servant did, I will be with you. I will build you a dynasty as enduring as the one I built for David, and will give Israel to you." Solomon did try to kill Jeroboam, who fled to Egypt, where he stayed until Solomon died. Solomon reigned for 40 years. His son Rehoboam succeeded him as king. All right, Bible scholars, that concludes our review of chapters 10 and 11. As always, any questions, comments, revelations, please drop them in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you in our next review. Bye for now, Bible scholars.